Hello, Mr. 411. How's it going?
Man, it's going well, Zach. How about yourself?
It is going well. Almost the weekend, and we get basketball tonight, NCAA style.
Absolutely. Oh, it is March Madness. It's a lot. And speaking of madness, man, it's a lot of madness going on in the NFL with the free agency and all that. So it's a lot of willing and dealing still going on in the league.
Yes, it is.
So, man, we got a lot to cover today, man. So we're gonna touch on that a little bit. We're gonna talk a little NBA, get that MVP talk because the season is winding down. We're down to about around about 10 games left in the season, regular season. So it's time to figure out who the MVP is going to be. So we're gonna have a discussion about that, and we're gonna talk a little Colin Kaepernick, and we'll talk about some other things as we normally do, Zach.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, Sports Brothers Show. Here we go.
Let's get it. Yes, sir.
All
Another
right.
wonderful day. And what is
Indeed,
that?
man.
What is that you say? Better to be seen than to be viewed?
Yeah, it's much better to be seen than viewed. And I'm glad that our audience is able to see us today. And we're definitely glad that they're watching and tuning in. We have a special guest today. We'll hold that until it's time, but you really will enjoy the guest that we have today. So welcome to the show, everybody. Today is March 24th, and the year is 2022. 22. That number right there, Zach. You know a lot about number 22 back in your Clyde Drexler days.
Just a smidge. Long, long time ago.
That's right. And those who don't know who Clyde Drexler is, just go to Google or
Yeah.
YouTube and you see plenty of highlights of Clyde the Glide. And you'll know why that was one of Zach's favorite players growing up.
Yes, he was. Back in
Yep,
his Portland Trailblazer days
that's
when he was
right.
in his prime.
In his prime with the curl and everything. Yep. But look, before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen, please do the following. Please do the following.
And once again, probably your favorite part of the show.
That's right. Hit that like, subscribe, and notification. Please do those things. It helps the Sports Brothers out tremendously. It helps 411 Sports World. It helps, and it helps you
Yes,
stay in touch, stay in the know.
it helps us help you.
Exactly. And you can follow us. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. And what else are we on, Zach?
We are on Zingo TV.
That's right. We thank Zinco TV for supporting the Sports Brothers
Yes,
and
we
all the
do.
programming in between. Absolutely. All right. So we took care of a lot of business there, and now it's time to get things rolling. All right. So our first segment for today. This is one of Zach's favorite segments. What you may have missed. And so, in the world of sports, what you may have missed, we're going to start off with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, the wide receiver who was, he's known for being a speed demon on the field, and he's also known as being a Kansas City Chief. But guess what? Now he's a Miami Dolphin. I did not see this one coming, but he's in Miami. And so, what's your take on this, Zach?
Well, before I get into it, I'm going to say Tyreek Hill needs to thank this man who we have video of, Devontae Adams.
All right, Devontae.
It's a dream come true. In the third grade yearbook, I said I wanted to be an NFL star or an NBA star, and I was wearing a Charles Woodson jersey at the time. So it's been documented forever. So I guess you could say it's meant to be.
Well, first, Devontae Adams has let me know how old he is. When he says he's in third grade, he says he was wearing a Charles Woodson jersey. But second, Devontae Adams got the 28, I think, and a half million, or 28.2, somewhere around there, 28 point something. And once he got that, he reset the wide receiver market. And because of that, Kansas City was put in a position where Tyreek Hill wasn't signing for less than, say, 25 million, more than likely. And he was able to find a team, his agent, who he needs to thank, that got him 4 years, 120 million from Miami Dolphins. So good for him. I think Tyreek Hill is cashing in his chips. He's already won a Super Bowl. I don't think if he stayed in Kansas City, that in the end of his career, we're talking about he's better than Jerry Weiss. So he's going for the money now. Regardless of whatever he does, he's played in 2 Super Bowls and he won 1. So he's good. I'm not so sure how this is going to work out for Miami, but what this does do is put Tua on the clock, because Tua has a good enough offense that if he doesn't perform, then you kind of know you got to move off of him. But congratulations, Tyreek. Not so great for the Kansas City Chiefs, but it's a salary cap league. This stuff is just going to happen. And this is why when you start trying to project out that you go win 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Super Bowls, it don't even go that far out, because it's a team sport. And once dudes kind of get their money, they going to want to get paid. And Tom Brady is the rare bird that kind of kept things in perspective to help his team out. So what about you? What do you get from it?
Well, I mean, you made a great point about Adam setting the table here. And another thing I get from this, Zach, is that the Kansas City Chiefs, and if I'm a Kansas City Chief fan, I'm not going to worry too much on this one, because, you know, you're not going to be able to pay everybody. And so at some point, it has to go. And if anybody has to go, I think the tight end position with the Travis Kelce, I think that's a position they wouldn't be able to afford to let that go. So if you are going to let something go, they have a plethora of receivers. And if there's one position I think you can make work, especially if you believe your quarterback is an elite quarterback, is the wide receiver position. And that's no slight to Tyreek Hill at all.
No, not at all.
He's not. He's going to help the Dolphins tremendously. But when you're Kansas City, and if Mahomes is what everyone says he is and what they paid him to be, he should be able to make it work with what he has. There's a receiver, you can help me with the name. He's from University of Georgia, your favorite place. Isn't he still on the roster?
Oh, you're talking about Mecole Hardman.
Hardman, yeah. So you still have Hardman. Maybe he can slide into that role. He's a fast receiver. But then they also brought in, speaking of Adams, another one of his former teammates in Green Bay, and in Scantling. So, you know, that's a solid receiver to have there. And then there's Juju. So
yes.
So I think if you can work that out, I think that's enough there for the Chiefs to continue to put up points. Are you good, or will you miss the speed demon and someone that can just break the top wide open? You'll miss that, but I think with creativity, with the coach over there, with the offense, I think that they should be able to keep it going on the offensive end. And more importantly, in Kansas City anyway, they need to slow down the opponent. So if they can work on that, I think that will help as well. So I think it's a win-win both ways. Hill gets paid. The Chiefs kind of find a way to continue to move forward. So I think it works out.
And we didn't add that they did get a first-round pick this year, a second-round pick. I think they get a fourth. So yeah, those are picks they get this year to help replace. If they want to bring in a receiver, they can. And like you're saying, once they gave Mahomes that money, basically you're saying the quarterback is the straw that stirs the drink, and they just need to put some guys around him. Tyreek Hill, he does dictate coverage, because if he gets singled up, he can run by. Like single high safety, he makes it very tough to run that. But it is what it is, and like you said, good for them. And this kind of Devontae Adams contract as you went, I think, and I kind of talked to you about it earlier, but this is going to dictate a lot of things, like Seattle with Metcalf. I think Metcalf is going to be looking, and maybe Metcalf won't look for the 30 million. Well, he'll look for the 30 million, but he may fall somewhere in because who was it that someone just went to the Jaguars from Arizona, and he got 21 per year. I think that's I can't think of it now. A young man out of A&M. So this is going to affect a lot of wide receivers, and this comes from that NFL rule changes of making the game easier for quarterbacks, making the game easier for wide receivers. So I think a lot of teams are going to have to bite the bullet on this and decide how bad they want whoever they have.
Absolutely. All right. Great point, Zach. All right. So let's slide over to the northeastern part of the country and talk a little basketball here. Another thing that you may have missed, ladies and gentlemen, Kyrie Irving. There's talk now where the Brooklyn Nets guard, he will be cleared starting Thursday. So he will be cleared starting Thursday to play in home games in Brooklyn. What's your thoughts, Zach?
Well, I can be quick on this. First, I'll tell you that Kyrie Irving won his battle against the COVID-19 vaccine. And I'll say also that he confirmed who he is. And, you know, if we got the clip from Marvel in this little clip, Kyrie Irving is, we'll see who he is in a second, but some people will recognize this. Hope we don't get in trouble for this.
All right, I'm looking forward to this one.
I mean, what are we, a team? No. We're a chemical mixture that makes chaos. We're a time bomb.
You need to step away. Why shouldn't the guy let off a little steam?
You know damn well why. Back off.
Oh, I'm starting to want you to make me.
Yeah. Big man in a suit of armor. Take that off. What are you?
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
I know guys with none of that worth 10 of you. I've seen the footage. The only thing you really fight for is yourself. You're not the guy to make the sacrifice play, to lay down on a wire and let the other guy crawl over you.
I think I would just cut the wire.
Always a way out. You know, you may not be a threat, but you better stop pretending to be a hero.
A hero? Like you? You're a laboratory experiment, Rogers. Everything special about you came out of a bottle.
All right. And if people didn't get it, Kyrie is Iron Man in that. He ain't laying on the wire making the sacrifice for anybody. He is getting his, and he's going to do what's best for him. And we'll have to see how this plays out. I think last year, and I'll let you go into it, but when they got Harden, you were kind of adamant that those guys were going to win the title because you couldn't guard those three guys. I wasn't sold on it, but I have to admit, as it went on and when they were healthy on the court, what you said was right. Those three guys were not guardable when they were healthy. And whatever happened this year, we don't know the details of it and it won't come out. But Harden is not there. We're led to believe a lot of that has with Kyrie and how the Nets handled Kyrie. And this is where I'll pass it to you. What do you think of this? And now that he's back to playing, has this whole Kyrie COVID-19 thing affected their chances of winning the NBA championship?
Wow. Well, I think Kyrie, as you stated earlier, I think he won. He did not want to. He said he was not going to take any vaccine, and he was able to. He played. He was in and out the lineup, but the team, acquiesced to his wishes, and so Kyrie didn't lose at all in this situation.
Nope.
Yes, I do think that Harden is out the door because of the treatment of Kyrie, but it's three of them there. It's three star players there, and they were there before him. So, any animosity he may have had there, is he did the right thing too by getting out of there and getting to Philadelphia probably where he wanted to be in the long term. But to answer your question, Zach, about the chances of the Brooklyn Nets winning the championship, wow, I think that I don't think they're going to win one this year. Not as constructed because of another player who's not playing in Brooklyn right now, Ben Simmons. So I thought I would definitely give them I give them a Mike Tyson Wright chance if they had Ben Simmons, but it looks like he's not going to play with his back situation. So what they're down to now is that they're down to two players that can put points on the board. With his back. Yeah, they can put points on the board, but they're going to give up a lot of points defensively, and that's where Ben Simmons would have came into play. And now I just have the Nets as one of many contenders in the East for the to go to the finals. But right now I have to lay it on the Bucks right now, man. I have to go with the Bucks. So
okay.
Good move for Kyrie coming back. It'll still be exciting, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough for them to get over now at this point. All right.
That is good analysis.
Yes, sir. All right. Let's transition to some more basketball. Man, we are basketball heavy right now at the top. Stay tuned. We have a special guest right around the corner here. But before we do that, Zach, let's talk about our show, Winning Time. It is aired on HBO. It is the series that covers the Los Angeles Lakers.
Hey, Mr. 411, if you don't mind, can we save that for the shout outs? And then that way we can go ahead and get to our special guest.
Oh, sure. We can
get into this NBA MVP talk.
Okay. Well, if you're that excited about it, look, I'm the man for the people. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to talk MVP. But before we do that, let me introduce to you all, ladies and gentlemen, our special guest for today. Now, this man, he's a unique individual. He is special. He loves the game. He loves basketball. He actually he's coached the game, and he's played the game. And not only has he played the game, he's played the game at a high level. This individual actually played professionally over in England. He also played professionally in the United States. And so he's bumped elbows literally with a lot of players throughout the history of this game. And so I want to bring him on. He's going to help chop it up with us because he does follow the NBA as well. Mr. Henry Brown. Mr. Henry, welcome.
Welcome, Mr. Henry.
Oh.
And you muted right now, sir.
Let's get you unmuted, Mr. Brown. Let's get you unmuted, sir.
So, Zach.
Yes, sir.
Thank
you.
You
good, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Tyrone, thank you for the warm introduction. You see the gray beard here. It's many jump shots ago, many rebounds ago. and the people tell me, "Yeah, you could jump." I say I couldn't jump over a one city phone book.
Uh-oh.
But thank you. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, thank you for joining us, sir.
Yes, it's very, very exciting to have you on. And so what we're going to jump into, Mr. Brown, is the NBA MVP race. And we just like to go ahead and give the floor to you, and you can kick it off. What's your take so far with 10 games left in the season? Some of your MVP candidates, and just who you think how they stack up and why.
Well, thank you again for allowing me to give you my opinion. But so when we talk about the MVP, we have to talk about the game. And so we've both been around long enough to understand the evolution of the game of basketball. And you got to look at it from this perspective. Right now, today, the top three candidates for MVP all play in the center. When was the last time you could say that? They'll tell you it's a guard-driven league, but you have Djokovic, Embiid, and Giannis. All those are your top three candidates that's going to be voted into MVP. Now, for my money today, I would go with the Joker. I wasn't feeling him when he first started but the other night I was watching the passes he was dropping and the 3-pointers he was shooting. Then he take you down on the block. So Embiid has the same characteristics. The Greek Freak has the same characteristics. Even though we are a 3-point league now, the big man has re-emerged as a dominant figure in the game, and they must be dealt with. You just can't go win a championship without a big man any longer, especially a versatile one.
Wow, that's yeah, you're right. I mean, to think about that with the big man, and we know that when you refer to multiple big men, and what is refreshing that we do have big men that for example, Giannis, he's won the MVP, and so to have guys at that size do it is a good thing. It brings, because with a lot of shooting and perimeter play that we have in the league, this is great versatility. It's great to bring that back. Maybe that'll trickle down to all the other levels of basketball as well, because really technically you can play out the post from any position, and it's always great to have that skill set to go along with any other package that you may have. So I think Kobe Bryant's a great example of that, which he mirrored that from Michael Jordan too. But they added that post game to their perimeter game, and you see where that took them. So yeah, big men. Well, let me ask you this, and then get your opinion on this, and then Zach can throw something at you too. LeBron James, he's leading the league in scoring at this point in time, and so there's a lot of talk by the media as far as LeBron. So where do you have him stacked into the MVP race?
Why would you do that?
Because he doesn't like LeBron, Mr. Brown. So be careful what you say. That's why.
I thought that was a trap. I mean, we talk about the big man. He's in the conversation, if for no other reason than what he's been doing lately. He's the freak of nature. LeBron James is something, you remember people say, well, you'll never see another Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a long time before you see a guy that big that can do what he's capable of doing. He developed one heck of a 3-point shot. So he's increased his range. He's strong. He can bully you. He can get on the block. He can do it all. So he's still behind the top 3 that I mentioned, the big man. And then I sort of had my eye on this kid in Golden State, Weissman. Too bad he was injured, but that kid, he has a heck of an upside. And in order for Golden State to come out of the West, he's going to have to play, because they can't come into the East with 3 balls when you have big man. Because with respect for the 3-point shot, the best players are shooting what? 40, 45%, 40%, 30%. So what happens when you miss? Analytics say if I make more 3s than you make 2s, then I'm going to win. But if you've ever played any basketball, anybody tell you if you live by the jumper, you're going to die by the jumper, because you can't make 100% of them.
Right. And the further away you shoot from the basket, the less likely it's going in. You know what I mean?
I see some stuff where I saw them pull up at half court and they're hitting them. I think that's amazing. I really do.
It is. But yeah, and just to clarify, I just don't like LeBron James on the Lakers. I don't like him on the Lakers.
We'll let you have that one.
But he is a great player. I mean, we all know that. There's never been any doubt on that end of it. And I did bring that up for a reason, because there is a lot of talk about him being MVP. And I like what you said about the big men. I think that, but I think, for me, the record has a lot to do with it as well. And so, for example, Russell Westbrook, when he was on his tear, and he was in OKC, and I think he led the team to like a 4 or 5 seed somewhere in there, 4, 5, 6. And you know, if you're not even in that range right now, and I'm referring to LeBron, I don't see how you can win MVP with your team being, the 10-11 slot this season.
I think that goes without saying.
Yep. What you got, Zach?
Well, first, I don't know if you brought this up, Mr. 411, and I missed it, but Mr. Brown, what position were you on the court?
I was everything. I played the 2, 3, 4, and the 5.
Okay, so you're a big man, so you got a preference for the big man. That's why we're trying to see if you.
I'm 6'3", but I used to tell people is you when you played against me, you had the 2s, and you know what the 2s were?
What's that, sir?
You're either too big or too little.
I like that.
Look, if you're a big man, you had to come outside and I rock you to the hoop and dunk on you. If you're a little fella, you're going down in the paint.
Okay.
So I used to tell them, you got the 2s. So I tell the coach, you pick your poison, because if you put a guard on me, he's going down in the paint. You put your big man on me, he's not agile enough to keep up. So he's going to get dunked on from the perimeter. I said, so, I'm not Allen Iverson, but there was no answer here.
Wow.
That's what I'm talking about. I like that. So now the next one. How far do you go back, Mr. Brown? I'll say me, I probably really started getting to the NBA in the 80s. Probably the first time I can say I really paid attention when the 76ers lost to the Lakers in I want to say 81 with Dr. J, and I was ecstatic when they beat them. I want to say what came back, was that 83 or was that? I think that was 83. They came back and beat them with when they had Moses.
All right, so that's a great question. Now you're trying to figure out how old I am, but
no, not that, because I got a follow up to it. I just
so let me tell you what I cut my teeth on.
Yes, sir.
I come from a family of basketball players.
Okay.
So on Sundays, we sat in front of a black and white television watching Boston when they had Russell. They had Cousy. Then there was Harold Greer and Wilt Chamberlain in Philadelphia. There was Jumping Johnny Jones. So I go back. I've been watching basketball since I was probably about 6 or 7 years old.
Okay, you're about to help Mr. 411 and me out. Wilt Chamberlain. How good was Wilt Chamberlain, and why didn't he win more? Because you actually, I'm assuming, got to see him, and like a lot of these guys, like and example I'll give is Reggie Miller. A lot of people now think Reggie Miller is he was a great player, but a lot of people, because he's on TV and the commercials and everything, they think he's better than Clyde Drexler. But I remember when they were playing, he couldn't touch Clyde Drexler. But you get to the TV and if he could touch Clyde Drexler, Clyde led Portland to 2 finals before he went to Houston, won a championship, and Clyde was making a lot of all-star games and all NBA teams. I don't remember Reggie doing any of that. But you get past all of that and you get guys on TV and young people that didn't see him play, you don't know any better. So I don't know about Wilt. I don't know about a Russell like that. I can only go off the stats. But you see Russell's stats and you're like, hey, he was an absolute monster. But then when you go to kind of like the championship side, so the question be, as I said, for me, why didn't he win more? And was he actually really that good, or was it that he was playing against people undersized? Or were they not undersized?
That's what people say about Wilt Chamberlain. They were undersized people. But what you have to understand, most people don't know that Wilt Chamberlain was a world-class high jumper and is a world-class 400-meter guy. So he was just not a basketball player, but on the court, anything that you wanted to have done, he did. So you have to look at it from this perspective. Why did Boston win so much? Everything started in the middle, but if you look at the number of Hall of Fame players that Bill Russell played with, vis-a-vis the number that Chamberlain played with, that tells the story. I used to tell people that basketball was not my favorite sport, because if I got a couple of bums that couldn't play, man, they used to frustrate me. You know, you get out there, you're giving it your all, and they come down, throw up a 30-footer and thinking they're gonna make it. You like, man, you know, I love track and field. I was all-stater and honorable mention All-American. I ran 13.5 in the high hurdles in high school.
Oh.
So the reason I tell you that is because greatness come in pockets. But if you look at great players in the NBA, you talk about TYREEK, look at all the great ones. And the question is, did they do it by themselves? And the answer to that question is a resounding no. You know, you have 5 people on the team on the court for a reason. They should have a skill set that's commensurate to what you have. So here's what I'll leave you. This is what I'll tell you. People said that Wilt Chamberlain couldn't pass the basketball, so he led the league in assists. They said he couldn't rebound. He led the league in rebounds. They said he couldn't score. He led the league in scoring. So anything you say he could do, he did. And he shut people up. I mean, imagine averaging 50 points a game.
I cannot. Look, I can tell you now, I cannot. And I've seen that he I think had a 55 rebound game before or something. So
yes.
no, I can't imagine any of that.
See, and then the bad thing about it, here's what we have to always keep our eye on. The evolution of anything we do in life, all right? Life doesn't stand still. We're constantly evolving. Where these guys had to play their 32 or 33 games and then go out and get a job in the off season, so they couldn't work out in the gym like these players do today. It's an occupation. You play your games, then you spend the off season where? In gym, playing all over the United States, going to different places. Those guys weren't making the money like that at the time. So they had to have other income. And that was true of every sport in the United States. The owners were getting paid, but the players were not. So thus, you know, you get the unions, you get people who are starting now to assert themselves in the financial arena, saying, hey, we're not going to play for you if you don't pay us, because you're getting these millions and billions of dollars, but we're getting the trickle down effect. We're getting the concession money. You know, you're divvying up the concession money to us, and you're rolling with all this other money. So when you speak in terms of Wilt Chamberlain, I think that people have to step back and look at his accomplishments and think about it in this perspective. These players who are playing year-round, who have trainers, who eat right, who do all these things, are still chasing his records.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. How about and I like to do this too. Since we're talking about Russell and we're talking about Chamberlain in particular, right? But this was an era that also had a Jerry West. It had Elgin Baylor. You had Willis Reed. You know, had Thurman.
Yes.
Right. You had Nate Thurman. And Wes Unseld, right?
Yes.
You had Barry.
Yes.
Rick Barry, right? I mean, these are great players. And that's just to name a few. So with the era, and we're gonna and what I like to do sometimes is, a lot of people say now, but you're skipping decades there. So let's just use 60s for now. So what would you compare the level of competition in the 60s and just compare that to, let's just say, 70s, 80s, and then we'll go from there. But just give the people a comp to that. What would that be like?
I'm glad you asked that question. What you have, so here's the way I would couch that. Have the number of universities in this country diminished? And the answer to that question is no, we've gotten more. So you have what, 12 or 13 teams in the league?
Most of them, yes, sir.
Somewhere in there,
so thousands from which to select from, right? Each team had 12 players. There's no farm teams. There was none of that. So every university that had a basketball team in America tried out for the pros and tried to make it, knowing that we're only going to take 12 of you. And if we have our starters, we're only going to look to replace the last 2 guys on the bench. So you got to be that good.
Wow.
So now You look at these guys, they didn't stay in the gym year round. They were natural born athletes. Majority of them played 2 or 3 different sports. Today we have what you call in the 70s, we begin to start playing year round, and you became what? Specialist. If you want a university, if you want to go to college, you got to what? Participate in summer leagues, camps, so the scouts can see you. So you really didn't get any time off. Back then, you walked into a university, there may be 40 or 50 guys trying out for a team, and you got to try to cut your way out of that 40 or 50 to get to what? 10 or 12, right? Then the money wasn't like it is now in college. You got to think about that. These guys got scholarships, and the scholarships would pay for your books, room and board, and that's where they had the training table. So there was no, I need a $50 stipend or give me some money under the table so I can take my girl to dinner. It wasn't like that, you know. And then, one of the barriers you have to get over is when you went to, as a black athlete, and you went to one of the schools where you weren't particularly welcomed in the community, you know, you were really stuck into a era where you hung in the dorms. Perhaps one of the greatest stories you might want to take some time to look at Bernard King when he was at Tennessee, what he went through.
Okay.
Bernard King was one of the greatest players to ever play in Tennessee. Perhaps one of the best players to ever play in the NBA. But he was tormented at Tennessee. But you know what I respect about him? He didn't quit. He didn't get into the transfer portal and go to another school.
Oh, man.
It's called intuitiveness. He stuck it out, went through some hard times, learned some great lessons, and today he's a heck of a man. You know, he is iron sharpens iron. You got to go through the fire to be great, and I think he's gone through the fire. So you asked me about the 60s versus the 70s. The 70s ushered in the era of great guards. You mentioned Jerry West, but you didn't mention Black Jesus. See, Earl Monroe and Clyde Frazier terrorized the entire NBA. And when I tell you they terrorized them, they played defense and you couldn't stop them on offense. So they were terrorists. They rolled out to LA and took Gail Goodrich and Jerry West apart. Terrorists. Yeah. So the 70s also had Rick Barry. Now, Rick Barry, you need to understand, left the NBA to go play in the ABA to make more money. He played for the Oakland Oaks. Right? See, I'm telling you something now. Look up the Oakland Oaks and Rick Barry's and his record.
Yes, sir.
Then you had the ABA where Dr. J went as a youth. And he was the catalyst for the merger. Because people like, man, this is the greatest guy you've never seen. Because they weren't on TV that often. You know, and people were whispering he was on magazines. He was doing things of that nature. And the ABA got your unrefined sugar, if you know what I mean. You know, refined sugar is that stuff that you get, might not necessarily be that overly good for you, but the unrefined sugar is what they're picking off. You got to remember where George Gervin started out at.
ABA.
ABA.
Yes.
Mel Daniels. I'm telling you, you can go down the list and look, and the question is, why did these guys not go to the NBA? So that was your 70s when they start merging people. Then you get Dr. J who come to Philadelphia, and who did they have as a superstar? George McGinnis.
McGinnis, that's right.
Right? You see what I'm saying?
They went to the finals, right?
Huh? Yes.
They went to the finals, right? Okay.
Yes. And what solidified the 76ers at the time Dr. J came there? There's a white guy by the name of Bobby Jones who played defense.
Bobby Jones, yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
who also played in the ABA.
Yes, absolutely. So what I tell people is it's relative. You know, it's just like people tell you, oh, Michael Jordan is the greatest player to ever play. And I look at him, I say, well, what criteria are you using? You can't say rings because that's Bill Russell. You can't say points because that's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So tell me what makes him the GOAT. You know what makes him the GOAT? The eyes. You guys haven't seen as much as I've seen. And so this is your inflection point. This is where what you see. You know what you're going to do? You'll be a grandfather one day. You're going to tell your kid, yeah, that Michael Jordan was the best thing that ever.
well, I'm not.
So from the day, huh?
I'm not a Michael Jordan guy like that, but I do understand what you're saying. I saw Michael Jordan lose a whole bunch to Isaiah Thomas, so I don't fall into that thing of praising him like that. I mean, he's great, but I ain't like, oh, he never lost it. I remember him losing a whole bunch.
Can I praise you right quick? You just threw a nugget out there. I don't root for any teams outside the state of Michigan. So when you hit me with Detroit out there, I'm gonna tell you when you get on your podcast in the future, if you ever talk to anybody, just tell them the captain. Then they'll know you're from Detroit. Nobody call him Isaiah. If you're from Detroit, the only thing you do is you call him the captain. That endears
and I got the jersey in the closet.
Huh?
And I have the jersey in the closet.
Look at there. See? Yeah. I can forgive you for disliking LeBron now.
Yeah.
You know what? I got to tell you two guys something. Very few people make my day. I'm a day maker. But you two gentlemen have made my day. I took off. I was doing work around the house all day. I was putting stuff together and doing some things. When Tyrone reminded me, I told my grandson, hey, I got to go. He looked at me and said, Papa, you go? Yeah, we'll finish it up later on. I'm like, yeah, I'm going in here because they're talking basketball.
Well, we appreciate it, sir, because I like the knowledge. Because as I said, some of this, all we have, like you said, seeing it makes all the difference in the world. As I said, I watch, like Jordan was absolutely great, but people try to, they forget some of the things. Like I remember, and I've talked about this all the time. They were up 2-1 on Detroit, had game 4 in Chicago. And this is probably 2 years before they won the championship. And gotcha. And if he gets it done, they would take a 3-1 lead on Detroit, and 7-game series, at least that time, usually 3-1 lead, you probably go on close out. Instead, his teammates played pretty good that night, and Michael Jordan had a bad night. They lose, end up 2-2, and go on and lose the series. Now, I say that to say, because people always want to make it seem like, oh, well, Jordan just always got it done. He didn't always get it done. He had his moments, just kind of like some of the other guys had. It's just he took advantage when he got to the finals.
Absolutely. You know, you said something, and another thing that another player people don't give a lot of credit to is Joe Dumars, because he used to lock Jordan up. Jordan hated to see Joe Dumars, and he was what, 6'3"?
He was, yes, sir.
And he gave him the business every time he seen him, because you couldn't get up under him. And then, you know, they call us the bad boys, the dirty boys. When I was growing up playing basketball, when you came to the hoop, you know you're gonna get punished. So you can either stop coming or you just take your lumps and keep coming. And I learned that, hey, no matter how big you are, you put me on the ground, I'll see you the next time down. And we played on asphalt. So many a days I went home scarred up and up. But that's just the nature of the game. We've turned this into a kumbaya. I don't like fighting. I don't like all the holding. You look at college basketball today, they're banging with their body. They're holding you. They're hooking. I don't like that. If a guy gets by you, you got to catch up. How many times you see a guy run to try to get past the guy that dribble past you and then turn around? You know what they do? They try to get alongside you, poke the ball, and you're getting fouls. When you watch the NCAA tonight, they're going to be banging, pushing, hooking. Your skill set is not being illustrated. What you have is a bunch of, I don't know, I don't even understand it. But I'm going to tell you something, it's March Madness, and I'm all over it.
I know it. It is basketball. That's right.
Yes, it
But
is.
well, Mr. Brown, so just to clarify this, and because this is one of the things that Zach and I hear a lot too, when we bringing up things, and mind you, me and Zach, we definitely respect the history of the game. Zach knows how much, when we talk about Wilt and Russell till we run out of things to say. We've actually even went back and looked up the series to see how they went and things like that. So we know that a lot of series were close. There was even times where Boston wasn't even the favorite. So when a lot of people say, "Oh, Russell just got all these championships because they was the only team and there was no competition and things like that," so just put it to perspective to everybody that one, about the size of the players as far as like a Russell and a Wilt, and how they would match up in, let's just say, the 80s, 90s, and then today.
Unique.
And I would say, Mr. Brown, probably what Tyrone is trying to go at, because a lot of times they'll tell you that, say, LeBron couldn't play then, or Curry couldn't play then, or they tell you Wilt played now, Wilt wouldn't be able to play, right, or Dr. J or whoever. Is that what you're trying to go at, Tyrone? Is at
basically, like they're trying to say, like, people will say, "Oh, well, you dismiss the players of the past because back then everybody was 6'4", 6'3". And our research says that the average height of NBA players hasn't changed. It's still an average height around 6'7", 6'8". And there was a lot of bigs that Wilt and Russell had to play on a night in, night out basis. So just want to give everybody a perspective of the size, of players. And again, how can some players play today, from yesteryear play today, and players from today play yesteryear?
So what you did was you turned the heat up on me. All right. So now you got the water boiling. All right. So I got to reach down into this boiling cauldron that you done. I got my hand in here. I know it's hot, so I got to pull it out right quick. So the name of the game is what? Basketball.
Yes,
that's
sir.
right.
Either you can play or you can't play. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You think about this, okay? People will tell you Oscar Robertson couldn't play in today's game. He was 6'5", 220, and he would murder you down on the baseline. and the bad thing about it, you couldn't foul him.
Wow.
Because he was a 90-something% free throw shooter. So at the end of every game, if it was tight, they put the ball in his hand, he go to the line, you're in trouble. So you get the ball to one of your poor free throw shooters, they hack him, he go to the line, we get the rebound, we coming back down, putting it in Oscar's hand. What are you going to do? You're going to give him what he wants, or you going to foul him? Is that not the game?
That's the
game.
I mean, I'm not a genius, but the game is taking advantage of where you can, right? So let me ask you this question. Who's going to take advantage of Wilt Chamberlain with the size and the strength he had even today? And beating him couldn't. Giannis couldn't.
Only guy I can think of is Shaq.
Yeah, but you know what? He was much more nimble than Shaq, and Shaq couldn't make free throws.
That is something for you to say right there, to say that he's more nimble than Shaq, because that puts that in perspective.
Yeah, and you know what I forgot to tell you? Wilt also led the league in free throw percentage.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you just something. I had a book I bought probably about 40, 50 years ago. And it was a layout of NBA history. It had the glossy pages. You know how they used to do the magazine? Well, you guys are too young to know about that. Look magazine and all those. They used to have the nice glossy pages. Well, they did one on basketball. And the thing about it is they used to wear Chuck Taylors, right? Yeah,
right.
How many players you see have high ankle injuries, sprung ankles, and all this stuff today? You look at what they wore back in the day. It was a rarity to see a guy sitting out of the game with a sprained ankle, because you know why? Go to the bench, somebody may take your place. You may not get your job back. See, so these guys play. When you go back and you look at the NBA in the 60s and 70s. You see their thighs wrapped up because they had hamstring issues. But they played every game. Wally Jones, Hal Greer. Just, I mean, they were, I don't like the word warriors. To me, I'm like, we're not giving them spears or guns to go out there. But what they were, okay. All right. See, Tyrone get me wound up because he'll throw something out there, and I'm like, ooh, it's like chum in a tank full of piranhas. I'm like eating it all up, you know.
Yeah.
So, but
I love it.
I'm telling you, greatness has to always set the standard, and those standards are always evolving. You look at the pyramids today. They're one of the 8 wonders of the world. And people are still trying to figure out who built them, how did they build them? It was impossible for man. You don't know, you weren't there. So what I'm saying to you is this. Respect what Wilt Chamberlain did because people are still chasing his records.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Respect what Bill Russell did because people are still trying to win that number of championships. And you know something? We have a word today that's coined, is called woke, right? And some people look at woke as being a negative word. You want woke children. You want woke people because you don't want them sleeping. If they're sleeping, they're going to slide something by you. So you young guys need to be woke. If you do this, and I'm going to commend you on, and I'm going to thank you also. You're doing one heck of a job here. Excellent job you and Tyrone are doing.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We have to be woke to the past. Because if you're not woke to what happened before, what they used to call BC, before Christ, I call it BU, before you. You got to be woke. You got to know what happened and where you're standing. And then you'll come to realize that you're standing on the shoulders of giants. These guys, and oh, by the way, extremely intelligent people. That's another thing you got to look at. These guys, these brothers were smart. Look at what they did after they left the NBA. Earl Lloyd went on to run some Fortune 500 company. Probably never heard of Earl Lloyd.
I have not.
What about Dave Bing?
Huh?
What about Dave Bing?
Yeah. Not my favorite player. He became one of my favorite. But you know, you remember Junior Bridgman?
I don't.
I do not.
Okay, so let me tell you about Junior Bridgman. Throughout the entire NBA career, he made $800,000.
Wow.
Junior Bridgman, billionaire.
Junior Bridgman.
Junior Bridgman is his name. Look at his wealth. Look at the amount of money he's accumulated. He was smart. These guys couldn't get into college because they were great basketball players. You had to be academically sound and savvy. Nobody's going to give you anything because there are too many people out there who wanted scholarships, and they were great academians. So if I can get a guy for 4 years that's a great academician and a guy that's a marginal academician, and I'm giving you money, I'm going with the guy that's the smart guy. Tell the other guy, you go junior college somewhere, find somewhere else to go. And then if you want to come back with 2 years, I don't have to lose that amount of money on you. You know,
but that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zach, you got anything else?
I am good. I have to believe that we're gonna bring Mr. Brown back when we do some of the other shows, especially when we start talking about the top 10 and have him weigh in on that.
I'm a Zach fan. Tyrone beats me up. He turned the heat up on me. Zach, you're pretty. Hey, Zach, thank you for pouring some cold water on me because Tyrone burned me up. He'll throw something at me and sit back and smile at you.
Not a problem, sir. I got you anytime you on the show.
All right.
Look, Mr. Brown.
Really
Mr. Brown.
Yes, sir.
Check it out. We have a listener that just said great show. And I believe that Mr. Spivey is saying great show because of all the knowledge that you're dropping.
Absolutely.
And Spivey is a Laker fan. I'm a Laker fan as well. Mine's he started being a Laker fan a little bit before I did. And we're going to talk about this show called Winning Time later on. But it talks about the early stages of the Showtime Lakers. What do you remember of that era and, Kareem and Norm Nixon, all that right before Magic? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, I can. Norm Nixon, native son from Macon, was an excellent point guard, outstanding point guard. It wasn't Showtime then, but you had the Lakers that were they were the darlings of the league.
Okay.
And Norm Nixon was the as they say, the spoon that stirred the drink. Norm made things happen. And then you had you got Worthy in there. You had Mitch Kupchak, Kareem, of course, and they began to try to build around Kareem, but Norm was that point guard. He could do everything. He saw the floor well, and here's the thing I tell people: in order to be a point guard, you got to be articulate. What does articulate mean? It means you have to be able to read and translate things and convey that to people. It's just like if you've ever played basketball, and I know you have. You ever get a pick that knocked you down and your teammate didn't say anything to you?
Yeah, plenty of times.
And what's the first thing you do when you go back to that? I'm talking about when you had your bell rung hard. You go back to the huddle, you say, man, did you see that? Yeah. Why didn't you say anything? Because I'm not articulate. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I coined this phrase, and it is, I ask people, I say, what's the breakfast of champions? And invariably, you know what they tell me? Wheaties. And I tell them, nope. The breakfast of champion is feedback. If you're going to build a consensus, you got to have feedback. If you're going to build a championship team, you got to have feedback. What is feedback? It's an exchange between two people. If I'm sitting there with my mouth closed and you're getting hammered, and I can see that this guy is beating you to the right all night, and I don't come to you and say, hey, cut him off to the right and send him back to the left, and I'm going to be here waiting on his bad hand so we can jump him. Guess what we just did? We built a championship. How do we build it? Through feedback. It's an exchange.
Yes, sir. That is good stuff. Now, since Mr. 411 is giving us a little extra time, tell me about Lou Alcindor and why he doesn't fall or get more credit as being, I guess, greatest of all time, or what type of player was he? Was he lacking anything when he was playing?
Why would you do that?
Uh-oh.
Why? Let me tell you something. So you used the name correctly, Lou Alcindor, right? So again, why? What makes greatness? How do you determine how great a man is? All right. When they start changing the rules so people can play with you. You know how many rule changes there were to keep people level with Wilt Chamberlain? Do you know how many rule changes that were made to keep people even with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Lou Alcindor? He came out of UCLA where they won what? 3 national championships?
Yes, sir.
Right, he did.
Only reason they reinforced because freshmen couldn't play.
Yes, sir.
Right? So when he stepped up his sophomore year, junior, senior, Milwaukee Bucks drafted him. He punished everybody in the Eastern Conference with that sky hook. There was nothing you can do with him. But guess what? Back to your original question. Why wasn't he winning championships? Because he had Lucius Allen around him. You could lock Lucius Allen up in the gym for 6 years and he couldn't hit a jumper. All right. I'm telling you, but he was a great floor general, but he couldn't shoot. Then you had Bobby Dandridge, slim fellow, but he could shoot. What got them over the hump? They traded for who? Oscar Robertson.
Okay.
They bought Oscar and immediately, bam, they won a championship. Because Oscar could he talked to the players. he had Abdul-Jabbar in a great place, Lou Alcindor in a great place in his life. But also what you probably don't realize or remember is the reason he left Milwaukee because his family was murdered there. His entire family.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, his
When his
entire
house
family.
burned? What was his house burned down
there? In L.A. But his family was murdered. He was on the road playing, came home, and his wife and kids were killed in Milwaukee. He left.
Wow.
See? So again, and then the next thing, he was woke. He boycotted the Olympics. Said, I'm going to the Olympics to play for y'all, and then you treat us this bad at home. Then here's the name I want you to sort of jot down: Avery Brundage. Right? Avery Brundage was the IOC chairman. He cost the United States the gold medal against Russia because they got cheated. He kicked John Carlos and Tommy Smith out of the Olympics because they're protesting the treatment of blacks in America. You had Jim Brown. You had a host of great athletes say, no, we're not going over there. We're not playing for the Olympics because you consider this a sports for America, but you're not treating us fair. So I'm not participating. So people don't forget that. He's not the media darling. Real intelligent man, smart as a whip, but he was aloof. You deal with the media. The media has a lot of pull on what people think about you. They love Michael Jordan. They hate Barry Bonds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Barry Bonds has never failed a drug test, but they call him a steroid user. That's just like never being caught speeding, and people say, "Oh, you speed all the time." Well, what's the definition of speeding? I don't have a speeding ticket. You know what I'm saying? So you can't call somebody something without proof.
Correct. I totally agree with that one.
You know, there has to be a scintilla of proof. Barry Bond is not in the Hall of Fame because of the writers, because he didn't want to talk to him. He didn't like you guys. So what you're telling me is that all of his accomplishments are being marginalized because you have a personal vendetta against this guy. That's why they need to push the media out of it and establish a standard. If you hear this, you're in. You can't hold him out. Same thing with Abdul-Jabbar. He never talked to the media. If you watch Magic Johnson, all them guys, Abdul-Jabbar did you in and he walked off the floor.
Yeah.
Well, he's aloof. You can't talk to him. Well, you can't come to him with nonsense. What you have for breakfast today? You're not on his intellectual level to have a conversation with him. So what do? You hold it against him.
Got it.
Wow. Whew. Well, that's some knowledge there.
See, stuff like that is all only things you can get. Kind of, you had to have lived it.
Yeah,
and that explains a lot.
Yeah, because the media is like a policeman who gets the authority to beat you up, and nobody's gonna come to your aid. You know, they are. There's a buffer. Used to, at one point in time, what you would do, remember this, growing up, how many times the first thing you do, paper come to your house, you snatch out the sports page and start seeing what's going on? Because you didn't have 24-hour news, right? Right. You didn't have, and what's the first thing you do? You look at the box scores, huh?
Yeah.
Ooh, he shot 45. He's 3 for 3. You know what I'm saying? But now what we have created, our brains are atrophied because we don't read. We're going to Google. We'll start watching the clips from ESPN. I like newspapers. They're hard to come by nowadays. So you know, I print the sports pages and the box scores and things so I can hold them in my hand and read them, look at it. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I don't want you to tell me anything. I want to figure it out for myself. I don't need Keyshawn, Jay, and Will to tell me. Give me the opportunity to feed my
Yeah.
brain, and then I'll develop my thought processes. I don't need help from you. I've never, you know, I am a fan of YouTube because I can go back and watch old games that when I was a
Oh, come
kid.
on.
Yeah, I can go
Come
back
on
and
now.
watch it. And I have an 80-inch television, smart television, so I can sit up there with my eyes this big. Whoo! And then, you know, the first thing I focus on when you go to YouTube and watch some old game, focus on the shoes.
Okay.
I'm serious. Focus on the shoes. Nike wasn't around. Adidas, Chuck Taylor was the man. And they used to cost $10 when I was growing up. My dad told me I wouldn't give you $10 to pay somebody else for a pair of shoes if they're not leather. I used to go, man, you don't get it. So I hustled bottles. And it wasn't because my parents didn't have the money. My parents didn't believe that they should buy a pair of gym shoes for $10. We had a store in Detroit, in Michigan, called Arlen's. Now, they used to sell gym shoes on a string. You know what gym shoes on a string is?
No,
There's
sir.
two of them clipped together, and they got a string in the back, so you try them on if they fit. My dad used to buy them, and we called them skips. I used to go, Dad. He said, hey, I don't buy clothes for people to give you congratulations or to show what we got. He said, I buy what's functional and what fits my pocket. He said, if you want more, get a job. So I got my first pair All-Stars my sophomore year in high school, and it's because our coach. We got 4 pair of gym shoes. I went to a Well Hill high school. It was in the suburbs. We had a pair of weighted All-Stars that had the blue toes on them, and we had 2 pair for home and 2 pair for away. You wore your black at home and your white away. And the coach was bright because he said, look, don't ever look where you want to tip the ball to. Look at the feet. Find out where the feet are. That's where you want to put the ball. I used to go, oh, okay. You know, and we didn't lose many jump balls in high school. So, and oh, by the way, my coach retired to make it. Yeah. And he was, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. We listen.
If you get me started, how many of you guys ever heard of Terry Durod?
No, sir.
Okay. How many of you heard of Larry Bird?
Well, yes, sir.
Okay. So if you listen to Larry, you remember when he developed the step back jumper where he come to you and step back and shoot it on you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He learned that from a guy named Terry Durod. Terry Durod went to the University of Detroit. He was my senior year in high school, he was a freshman, sophomore. We used to kick him out of the gym because he used to always try to come in and hang out. This guy was a shooter, and he could shoot it deep. He won a NBA championship with Boston. Came back home, and he became a firefighter. He passed probably a couple of years ago. Real decent guy, but he could shoot like no. You talk about KYRIE can shoot. I personally sat on the bench and watched him shoot. I go, man, and I'm talking about it don't hit the rim. I'm talking about it just fall.
Wow.
And he played for Dick Vitale when Dick Vitale was the coach at the University of Detroit. So you see things, and they're indelible. And what I mean by that, it's not like walking in snow. You guys don't know anything about that. You walk to school in snow, and by the time you come home, it's not covered up. You know what I'm saying? Because more snow has came.
We definitely don't know about snow.
Not walking to school in it. No, sir.
Walk into school in snow, and you're making tracks, you make angels, and by the time you get out of school at 3:30, it's all covered up because it's continuous snow. So you don't get an indelible print that's going to be there forever. But the indelible print for you young men here today is yesterday. Yesterday is
Yes,
that
sir.
indelible print. It's still there if you take time to go back and look at it and
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
it. Like you talk about Clyde Drexler. I
Five
fell in
Slammer
love with
Jim.
him too. Huh? I
Five
watched
Slammer
him.
Jim.
Yes, sir. I watched him and Elijah and them was
Yes.
in college. They did everybody in. And you know what's really funny about that when you think about it? Elijah got lost. Houston wasn't where he was supposed to go to school. And he caught a cab from the airport to the University of Houston. Look at Guy, what's his name?
Is it Lewis?
Guy Lewis. So I'm getting out of the cab and ran over to him and said, son, where you come from? He said, I was supposed to go so-and-so place. Soccer. He said, no, this is where you're supposed to be. Let me get you on the scholarship right quick. History. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you have to appreciate the great stories that every last one of us should be griots. You know what the griot is in Africa? That's the person that passed the history on.
Okay.
So, but in order to pass it on, you got to understand it and go out there and get it. And once you get that history, you're now able to pass it on as you age. It's like my grandson sit at my lap and he tells me he could do me in. I said, grandson, you would have never wanted to see me. I said, you know what? You look at this gray hair your papa have, and I go pull out my scrapbook and I show him where I had 89 points, 45. He tell me, I bet you wasn't playing against anybody. I said, yeah, well, if you say so. You'd have been that nobody if you'd have ran up on me. I said, your papa was no joke. And so, but always take time to tell him these were not accomplishments in a vacuum. I take my grandson home to Detroit and we go to the suburbs where I'm from and people go, oh man, your grandfather was this and that. And I put my arm around him and say, anybody saying that about you? I say, I think not. But I've sort of strayed. What I want to leave you guys with is this.
Okay.
Thank you for what you do. Thank you for inviting me. But more importantly, keep looking back. Because when you look back, you'll develop a rich understanding of the game. And I'm going to tell you, to this day, I love basketball. I can look at basketball and say, oh, I should have did that. And I'm also reading. Sometimes I really get perturbed. I get angry over how the media report things. Both of you guys are from Macon, right?
Columbus.
So we're originally from Columbus, Georgia.
Columbus, Georgia.
Welcome to the big city of Macon, y'all.
Well,
you know why?
I'm a Maconite as well.
Okay, so let me say this to you. The media crucified Juwan Howard, right? Any of you ever grew up with your grandparents?
I did, yes, sir.
Okay, what your grandmother, grandfather say? If somebody put their hands on you, what you do?
Put your hands on them. And then they also said, they also added, we don't want you getting in fights, but if you do get in a fight, you better win, because if not, you won't get whooped twice.
Gotta come home and see me. That's what my mother used to say. Don't go looking for it. But if somebody get their hands on you, you do everything in your power to get them off of you. People don't understand that. The media don't understand it because they don't look like us. And this is not racism or racist 101, but you got to get beyond what you see. You can't put your hand on a man and expect him to walk away.
I would agree wholeheartedly.
It's like I tell my grandson, go 1,000 miles around a fight. But if it come to you, you got to win. You don't go out looking for things. You try to be nice, help everybody you can along the way. But if somebody put their hand on you, do everything in your power to get that hand off of you. Then they thought it was contrived that he hugged that young man that was crying. That is the essence of coaching.
Yes.
That is the essence of being a real man. That young man was visibly upset and hurt. He grabbed that young man and told him whatever he told him. The young man was nodding his head. And you could see it. You know what I said to myself? Now that's the kind of person I like. Don't put your hand on me because I'm going to deal with you. But in the same instant, I can hold you and tell you, young man, you're going to the NBA. You're gonna make me. I understand your feeling right now. Cry, get it all out, and then move on. Because this don't make your tomorrow. This is right now. You got a tomorrow ahead of you, and your tomorrow gonna be filled with dollars. So I appreciate Juwan Howard for that.
Wow, man, we got so much that we need to cover with you. We can,
anytime, Zach.
Yes,
All I'm
sir.
telling you, don't let Tyrone beat me up too bad.
Oh.
Tyrone, like I said, he'll put the heat on me in a minute.
Hey, I got you. I'm your bodyguard. So
Okay,
when you
'cause
come
Tyrone,
on,
here you go.
I'll be in between y'all. Look, I'll be your Juwan Howard with Tyrone.
Okay, yeah,
Oh.
because you know what? I've been knowing Tyrone for a while. I used to tell Tyrone, I like the way you officiate and do business. Tyrone's strictly business. and when I first met Tyrone looked at me and told me, hey, you need to get back on that, across that line. Like, you know, coaching, you get into it, you start walking the sidelines and you forget where you are. I bumped into him, he turned around, looked at me, and said, wait. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. You know, I wish children well. I'll tell you what, Tyrone, Zach.
Yes, sir.
I was almost put to tears Saturday night. Like Tyrone said, I've coached. A lot of my kids have gone on to do things. Still struggle with my son, but that's not the issue here tonight. Young man that played for me, graduated from high school with honors. He came to me. He said, Coach, I'm going in the Army. I was like, what? This guy's 6'5", 6'6", but he played guard. But he hurt his knee, and he played football. I told him, man, leave that football alone. Basketball is your ticket. And he got injured playing football, so he didn't play in his junior, senior year. So he graduated with honors, went to the Army. And I was sitting home Saturday night watching the game. My doorbell rang. I'm like, man, nobody come to my house this time of night. So I go to the front door. He looked at me. I'm like, oh, man. He hugged me. He said, Coach, how you doing? I said, I'm fine. We came into my den and we chopped it up for about 2 hours. And he gave me a card.
Wow.
And the comments in that card broke me down. You just don't know who you're going to touch in life.
Yes, sir.
There are detractors and benefactors. And people will disparage you. They'll lie on you. They'll cheat on you. They'll try to cut you down. But you know what? God always sends you a flower when times are tough. And that young man bought me a flower. I was like, man, the card is still up there. I was like, I go in tonight and I read it. I'm like, man, whew, never knew I reached him to the level that I mean, they weren't well off, but like I used to go shopping. I'd drop his grandmother off steaks and stuff. You know, I go to the commissary, buy a lot of meat, give it to her. She said, why do you do this? I said, because I need to make sure my boy here is eating. I used to go pick him up on every Saturday and Sunday. We go to breakfast and go to the gym. Come from the gym and we go to lunch. Yeah, take him home. And outstanding young man. I told him, know what you're going to do. Don't just walk into the door of an institution and not have any idea of what you're going to do. I said, the key for you is this. You're a smart guy. So clip these classes. You don't have to sit into a classroom to get you a degree. Clip them. Go over there. You got Google nowadays, man. Algebra. I've learned stuff. I was like, man, so I could have added these. You remember what? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, right?
Yep.
Order of operation, right?
Yep. That's the
You
basics.
know how that's something. If I'd have had Google, I'd have probably had a doctor's degree in mathematics. You know what I'm saying? So, you two young men are doing great things. But I got to tell you, keep looking back. Because if you don't look back, the failures that happened yesterday is going to doom you tomorrow. So if you know what happened yesterday, you'll be better prepared to deal tomorrow. And by the way, thank you again. But the most important question I'm going to leave y'all with before y'all kick me out, because Tyrone know I can talk. All right,
it's okay, sir.
Are y'all registered to vote?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Good. Make sure. Zach, you didn't give me that result, and you lean back.
Well, I'm ready. Look, I'm registered to vote, but what I'm waiting on is for them to call me for jury duty. But yes, sir, I'm registered to vote.
Hey, let me tell you what happened to me. I've been kicked off every jury they call me to. They say, what's your background? I said, I did 30 in the military. Okay, have a good day. So they go, oh, them people there, they only see it one way. Them attorneys don't want you on the jury. So, yeah. Stacey Abrams is in the breach, and we got to get out in the street for her. And again, basketball is great. You two young guys there, I'm gonna tell you what I do. I don't vote for me. I vote for you and your kids. That's who I vote for.
That's deep.
I'm good. I'm absolutely good. I'm 100%. As you young guys say, I'm 100. I'm 100.
Well, we say in the streets 100. We say 100 in the streets.
100. Okay. So I'm a hundo. Is that good?
Yes, sir.
Keep it 100.
You know. Yeah. So Tyrone, go ahead, hit me then.
Hey.
Zach, anything, just bust me in my head and see what come out.
Yes, sir.
Oh. You ready, Zach?
I'm ready.
Fire away, then.
You're the breach, Zach.
I'm the breach. Let's see. What'll be a good one? I'll give you some. Let's see. What do Mr. 411 and I always have a issue about or a thing about? Kobe and Shaq. Who was the I'm kind of in the camp of, you know, Kobe won his 3 titles with Shaq and he did contribute, but Shaq was the main kind of reason they did that. Now Kobe got his 2 after that, but whenever people do that thing, kind of like about Jordan, that Jordan won his 6 championships and blah 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 6-0, and then they start talking about Kobe and the 5 titles. Well, I always say, you know, he has 5, but 3 of those are kind of Shaq's, and he's got his 2. So how do you view that?
Okay, so at the I'm gonna take the Tyrone approach. I'm not a Kobe fan. A lot of people look at me and call me a hater, but I'm just not a Kobe fan. But I respect his game.
Mm-hmm.
Kobe was a dog, and he was a rabid dog. So he only knew one way to play the game. That's just to cut your heart out and step on it. Who did he win his championships without Shaq? And who did he have in the middle? Paul Gasol. You see what I'm saying? Now, if he'd have did it by himself, that'd have been a different story. Now, I think just from a broad perspective, he wouldn't have been that great without Shaq.
Oh, Mr. Brown, you about to get kicked off the show, Mr. Brown.
So let me tell you why I say that.
Mr. 411, Tyrone about to get rid of you.
Okay, so let me tell you why I say that. Let me tell you why I say that.
But I love it.
At that time in the league, Shaq was the most dominant player in the league, right?
Yes, he was.
Okay, so what do you have to do with a player like that? You know he can't shoot free throws, right? So you send 2 people at him. But you know what that did? It opened the floor for Kobe. People don't see that. Go back and look at some of the. Kobe murdered people because of Shaq. Because it's like the old axiom. You got to pick your poison. Shaq gonna kill you down in the paint. So if Kobe missed, Shaq getting the rebound. So we got to figure out a way to keep him off the boards and neutralize him. So it gave credence to Kobe's abilities and skills. And I'm not telling you Kobe wasn't great. I personally didn't like it, but I respect that he could play the game. He was great. Shaq was his yin and his yang. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Paul Gasol gave him the ability to pass. He could move without the ball. What did he tell Shaq? Hey, if you want to get it off the boards, I ain't passing nothing. You know, Kobe say, when I walk in the gym, I'm hot. Soon as I walk in the gym, I'm high. From wherever I'm
That
at
I
on the
agree with.
floor. Yeah, but I have a great deal of respect for that man's tenacity and his ability to play the game. I just didn't like it. You know, so Mr. 411 Tyrone, you don't like LeBron. Give me an opportunity to hate one time. And I don't hate the man. You know what? I'm learning to appreciate him. He's like you know what he reminds me of? Night Train. It's acquired taste if you're drinking wine. The first time you turn some Night Train up, you go, ooh. But by the third or fourth time, you be like, yeah, you know, you hit that Night Train and keep it moving.
I like that. Kobe Night Train Bryant.
Yes.
Okay. Look, I don't have a problem with anything that you said.
That's good.
And when we get into the future podcast, when we do our draft, I would like to have you on, Mr. Brown, because we're gonna draft. We're gonna have a round table of panelists, and we're gonna have a draft.
Okay.
An all-time draft. Okay. But to piggyback off of what you were saying about that the Kobe Shaq question, Zach, but also Shaq benefited as well because Shaq won the championship with a Wade. He won a championship with a Kobe. So it wasn't that Shaq did it all by himself. You know
no. Team sport. Nobody's doing it by themselves.
Tyrone, what did I say when we first started talking? I told you. Essence of it is what? A team.
Yeah, it's a yin and a yang thing, but I think, but what we're talking about are two great. I mean, you got to call them both A-level players. I mean, and they were on the same team, and they carried a supporting cast. I mean, but those two great players. So we just really splitting hairs on a lot of the conversations.
Let me ask you this. Right? You're an official, right? You're an official, right?
Okay, go ahead. Yes.
Have you ever watched a player while the game was going on and he was just that tough? And don't tell me no. Because if you love the game, you officiate and you watch this kid, and that kid is everything, and you like, ooh. Then you see him in college, you go, ooh. Then you see him in the pros, you go, ooh, I knew he's gonna be good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But so the reason I give you that analogy is woo-wee, Kobe and Shaq. I didn't say Shaq, I didn't say Kobe. I said, ooh, Kobe and Shaq. So they both put the NBA on its ears, right? They had differences. You know, iron sharpens iron, right?
Yep. That's what I was about to get at too. Like,
they don't always meld with one another, but you needed to sharpen one another.
They needed each other.
Yeah, I agree.
They definitely did, and I think the media really want to play the two against each other as well.
Did I tell you about the media?
Yeah, but that's what you do when you have, you have something like that. You know what I'm saying? That's and it still goes on to this day. I mean, there's players like I know there's media. You could say this guy
media is responsible for Gary Bonds not being in the Hall of Fame.
Agreed.
Yeah. When I look, but you have to have a big. Yeah, but going all the way back, you do need bigs because when we get to our all-time rankings, you're gonna notice I'm gonna have a lot of bigs at the top. You
gotta have big. And you know what? I keep telling you, you can't. If you live by the jumper, you'll die by it.
You said that earlier.
Shoots 100% from the field. If you can shoot 100% from the field for free, you're something else. But
you're a machine. But I have one for you.
Okay,
it's my turn now. So here's the 5.
All right,
and they're gonna play against this 5. So Oscar Robertson, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain versus Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Tim Duncan, Shaquille O'Neal. Mm-hmm. 48-minute game, and we'll assume none of them get tired.
Okay. Biggest mistake you made is putting Tim Duncan on the team. but that's okay.
What's wrong with Tim Duncan?
What? If you got to ask, I'm not going to tell you. So you're telling me Timmy Duncan is one of the greatest players to ever play the game?
Well, he's definitely one of the greatest, but it's just now what number are we put it in? But he's one of the greatest.
Well, can we look at this 505 and then circle back?
I'm going. Look here. I'm going with Chamberlain and company.
Wow. Okay. So I'm gonna read this team back one more time. Oscar Robertson, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, versus Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Tim Duncan, and Shaq.
Okay. So here's my question: now that you picked these latter day players, how many balls you gonna have? Because you only get one, and all of them are hogs. Everybody you got on that second team gotta have the ball. Everybody. Name me one person that don't have to have it. Kobe gotta have it. Magic gotta have it.
Magic gotta have it. Kobe has to have it. LeBron has to have it. Wow. You gotta feed Shaq.
I'm just saying. I didn't want to start any trouble with you tonight.
Well, I mean,
this can get his. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. This is another thing y'all talk about. Shaq, how big he is, and how strong he is. He's not gonna move. Yeah. So what you gonna do? Can my team? Do we have enough diversity? Oscar don't have to have make all the shots, because what he gonna do? He can feed. Yeah.
Magic can feed.
What about Magic?
Okay. What about?
But I wouldn't have put the team together that Mr. 411 put together though. But still, Magic can feed.
Right. Not a prolific shooter. Right? He's a scorer, but he wasn't a prolific shooter. He was just big and he shot a push shot. Who else do we have? Shaq. Foul him. He can't get the game's tight. We just keep hacking him. Send him to the line. Tim Duncan as your power forward. Yes, that's a good pick. Like that. But now you got to contend with Russell.
Tim should be able to contend with Russell.
Oh,
how would that work out?
See,
Tim has height. He's not small.
Talk to us.
Look here. Tim Duncan is a stiff. He don't have the skill to shake you and get to the hoop. He's a stiff. He gets in position, bank it, jump. He don't have a definitive move to get to the basket. You ever see Tim shake somebody?
Well, he doesn't have to shake anybody. He's a 7-footer.
Okay, so he gonna do that against Russell, right?
I mean, wasn't Russell 6'9"ish?
Yes, sir.
I mean, he should be able to post him up.
Ooh, I like you. When you get off the air tonight, go Google Russell and see how high he was over the rim.
I can give you all that, Mr. Brown. Only thing I'm gonna say this about Tim Duncan, and he doesn't get all the love he should. He won a few championships against Kobe and Shaq when they were in their prime. So he at least a few of those times took it to Shaq.
Yeah. Oh, I'm being visited by my granddaughter. You go to bed. I love you. Good night.
Hey.
Good night.
Special guest.
Yes, special guest.
That's my
So Timmy wasn't soft. He took it to Shaq. Now Russell might, but that shouldn't be that big of a mismatch. If
Right.
Timmy can go up against Shaq, he should be able to go up against anybody, shouldn't he? From a big
He went
man
up against
standpoint.
Shaq and won the championship with how many other All-Stars?
Oh, he didn't have anybody that was a Kobe. So he had a team that was complete. But
Okay. So let me ask you this. You ever see somebody that every time they go to the hoop get fouled? Every time, not sometime. Ginobili lived on the foul line and he wasn't that good. Then you have Parker, right? Who'd you have as your power forward on that team? Tim Duncan, right?
You did.
Yeah.
Pin on which one, yes, sir. You had
And then you had
Timmy.
the Admiral,
Timmy was power forward,
right? You had the Admiral, right? David.
Early on, yeah.
That was the first team,
Still,
yes,
they
sir.
won a championship together.
They did.
And so those were mismatches in the worst sense because David Robinson gonna be down on the boards. Tim Duncan, your power forward is not as big as he is, and he don't just bank it on you. He gonna catch it in the 10 or 15-foot range and bank it on you or shoot the light feathery jumper. So I don't know. I mean, respect your opinion. I do. I'm not going with you.
Well, you don't have to go. I'm just saying, like it shouldn't be that big of a mismatch. If Russell is better, but it shouldn't be like a Charles Oakley and Russell mismatch. It should be Timmy should at least be satisfactory. But Mr. Jones put together a team that don't have no shooting, and like you said, too many guys that need the ball. Like I would take LeBron and Magic can't play on the same team together.
No,
like that goes with it, like they both facilitators.
Yeah, but that's not why I did that. I did this because these are some of the top guys at their position that are considered at their position all time. Because that's why I picked these players, and I took Michael Jordan off for a reason, so we wouldn't have.
Because he's not that good.
Well, I'm not gonna say that, but he'd have been another guy that needs the ball though, most definitely.
I just took him off for the conversation's sake, but still, these are, if you look at these players, these are players that many people have said are the best at their position. I've heard Shaq name come up as the best center at one time. I've heard Magic at a point, obviously Jordan, but no one, but outside of Jordan, it would be Kobe and then LeBron James. And he's been talked about as a GOAT, the greatest of all time, period. And then Tim Duncan, it's been said a lot about him being the greatest power forward of all time. So when I picked these players, that's why I listed them. And I just wanted to see from you, Mr. Brown, how those players from yesteryear would match up against these players.
I think it would be a great matchup. And we can only speculate.
Well, I take the team from yesteryear because Wes can shoot. Wes is probably the best shooter out of that bunch. The newer team doesn't have any. Kobe can shoot, but he wouldn't be there. I don't think there'd be enough spacing.
You know something, and this is why we have to look at greatness from two perspectives. What do you think Shaq would have been if he'd had Kobe's work ethic?
Oh, well, he'd have been tremendous. You would think at least one more chance. One more championship, if not two. But from my standpoint, isn't that how things kind of work sometimes there, Mr. Brown? That sometimes the most talented individuals aren't going to be your hardest working individuals.
Right.
And I guess, and I'd say too, maybe sometimes the more skills you have, which I think is an issue with LeBron. LeBron can do so many things that it keeps him from being as great as maybe he could be because he can do so much. And he doesn't look like I think he sometimes forget he's 6'8", 260 and bigger than everybody.
Yeah.
Like he plays like a small guy.
Yeah.
when he is a large human being.
I've seen him punish some people going to the hoop, though. When I tell you, but you know, it goes back to the police on the floor, the officials. You know, you watch how they'll keep an eye on LeBron, because when he start bullying people, they like, hey, ho, we gotta stop that. You know, so you have to play. Tyrone tell you, if you don't play to the officials, you're not gonna be in the game. You gonna find yourself watching the officials run up and down the floor like this on the bench, wondering how you got there. So sometimes you have to tailor your game to the police. You can't be out in the street throwing rocks through windows and the police standing there looking at you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So, and that euphemism may not be hilarious, but you
No, I
got
understand what you're saying.
Yeah, two things you have to know if you're gonna be a good basketball player or great. When I was in college, we used to get scouting reports on the officials. We knew what they like to call, and you know what we used to do? When you got a fat official who was out of shape, the first 3 minutes of the game, you run him hard, and while he's standing on the sideline, you go send our big man stand in front of him, and then we go to work on your hands. You come in the paint, we grabbing your hands, because the official not moving. He's blocked out of the play, and when he moves, you move.
Right.
You know, so, you know, and he's out of shape, but today's official is a different breed of official. These guys are in shape, they're running, you're not blocking them out. You know, take a heavy set official, I don't like the word fat. Run him up and down the court and watch him if he's not in shape. Tyrone, they use their thumb like this. When you see him do that, you know, we got him. We just need to run him a couple more times, and he's not going to
move. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Brown, we are glad you on. We're gonna bring you back.
Oh, most definitely.
I mean, the door's wide open, so
anytime.
Anytime. We got to get you on our all-time conversation too.
Okay.
Because you definitely gonna have the perspective that is needed, and we're gonna try to find some others too. Because when we do the all-time, we want it to be as fair as possible.
Right.
To eliminate some of that. And that's why we asked you a lot of those questions that we asked you today. So it's great to have these, this discussion.
Yes, it is.
And, try to overlap, some of the errors and time together a little bit and put some good, fair perspective on it. So we definitely appreciate you being on.
One thing I keep thanking you guys, important. Every day, if you get a gift before you go to bed, you've had a blessed day. I got a gift from Zach. I never met the brother before, but I'm like, hey, again, I've been smiled down on, say, I'm gonna put somebody in your life today.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You gonna have Mr. 411 fussing to me after this.
Hey! Now you said you're gonna hold up on me. Now don't let him fuss you away. Absolutely. What a wonderful evening you guys have given me. Really
yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
And thank you, sir. As I said, you answered a lot of questions. Like you were going to make me redo how I look at my top 10 now.
Absolutely.
With some of the questions that you asked.
It only stands to reason that you have to respect where you come from. It's just like you can't be your grandparents, but you got to look back on them and see what they gave you to bring you to this point to make you a better person.
Right.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? And despite all the things that happen in this world, circumstances are your circumstances rule a lot of where you come from, what's going to happen to you. The circumstances.
Yes, sir.
We're not as bad as we could be, but we're not as good as we can be. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has a proclivity to fall off and be bad. Everybody. But the greatest thing you can do is to lift people up. That's the greatest thing you'll ever do in your life.
Yes, sir.
I've learned this. The world is comprised of hope. Never walk away from a man or woman and steal their hope, because their absence of hope, there's nothing to live for. So no matter how bad it is for a person, leave them with hope. Hope gives them a tomorrow. Absence of any hope, there is no tomorrow for you. So I thank you for inviting me. I'd like to drop in pearls of wisdom. I'd like to look in nebulous places for things. So I'm going to leave you guys with this. Right? Great leaders are like water. They're found in low places, and they're good for all things. And above all, they make things grow.
Yes,
Nothing
sir.
great is always up here at the top.
Right.
You have to look low for greatness. And so,
Yes, sir.
having said that, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Keep me on the bubble, man. I like coming here. All right.
Don't worry, you were there.
Okay.
Yes, sir. You are.
Thank you for the
All
present.
right.
Thank you for the present of meeting you. Okay.
Oh, thank you for letting me meet you, sir. That's it. We definitely get you back on here.
Okay. Thank you. You guys have a great evening.
All right.
You
All right.
too,
Good
sir.
night.
Take care.
Good night. Hey, I think I'm gonna tell you that outside of all of the knowledge we got, the other good thing is he kept calling me a young man. I don't think he realizes that you and I are like 47, and that I'm a grandpa myself, so I appreciate it. Like I feel much better now.
There you go, Zach.
Because when I go to the gym,
you got a lot of mileage left in the tank.
Hey,
man. You see that?
Well, that's what you be trying to tell me, because we go to the gym and I play with the young guys. When I tell you, I always feel so old. So this is nice.
Yes, sir. All right. Well,
hey,
look,
and an update, Arkansas is beating Gonzaga by 6 with 8:20 left.
You're 52-46. You're absolutely right, Zach. Great update, man.
I'm shocked.
All right. Well, look, man, this is a special edition. This is an episode that we'll never forget. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on YouTube and Facebook and what else are we on? Twitter. And you can play this. You can play it, let it play. You can pause it. You can check back on this later. But this was a special edition. You don't always get insightful information like that. And when you do have the opportunity, you have to take advantage of that opportunity. So definitely hope everyone appreciated Mr. Henry Brown, as he will be back.
Yes, most definitely, because as I said, he has given us the perspective on the individuals that we did not see. And whether we agree or disagree, at least we get to see that. Like he can tell you, because he saw him play. Like,
that's right.
Once again, my opinion has to change a little bit on Wilt, because he's not telling me that, like, he's not saying Wilt didn't get it done. He's saying Wilt didn't have the teammates.
Right.
And he kind of suggested that Russell did have the teammates.
You can't refute something that somebody saw. So that makes sense to me. Right. What else makes sense, Zach, is the support that we get from our sponsors.
Yes.
One of our sponsors in particular, Heavenly Spa Mobile, 2484 Ingleside Avenue, Building A, Suite 101-A, Macon, Georgia, 31204. LaTanya can be reached at 478-747-9231. That is 478-747-9231. Heavenly Spa Mobile, where relaxation is the key. Tell us, Tanya.
Hi, I'm LaTanya. I'm the owner of Heavenly Spa Mobile. I've been in this business 19 years plus. If you're in dire need of a massage for achy muscles, back, neck, shoulder, hip, legs, feet, come on down and schedule an appointment with me. You can't go wrong. There's nothing wrong with taking care of you, because no one's going to be able to take care of you. I'm located at 2484 Ingleside Avenue, and that's in Building A, and that's in Macon, Georgia. Again, You can go online to Heavily Spun Mobile to schedule your future appointment, or you can reach out to me at 478-747-9231. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, LaTanya. We appreciate it. And look, I really need to take her one on that offer. I almost need to fly out there so I can get one.
Yeah. I mean, the music set the mood there, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah. All right. Well, Zach, let's keep this rolling. We only have 2 more topics to go. And we're going to talk about some NFL. Let's get into the NFL action.
Well, we didn't give our MVP.
Oh, well, you know, you can give your MVP.
Well, I'll go. Mr. Brown broke it down, and I can see it. It probably is going to be one of the 3 big guys that he went over. But for me, I'm gonna go with a sentimental favorite, and the sentimental favorite for me is Chris Paul.
All right,
and I just bring it up, like he's missed time, and even before he missed time, no one had him in it like that. But I don't think you can deny the effect that he has had on the Suns. They took off when he got there, made the finals last year. They have maintained that level, played so well this year, in fact, that him being out didn't really affect them. The roster is constructed well, but whatever it is he has, that energy, that fight, high IQ, things of that nature, he has really helped them with that. And for me, he's just more of I would give it to him as a sentimental favor, only because no one has an outstanding record in the league this year except the Suns.
Yeah.
So I can't statistically say anything to support him. I would love to put Morant in it, but Memphis is 15-2 without him. So as I said, Paul won't get it once again, but he'd be my MVP. And if his name was Chris LeBron instead of Chris Paul, he'd probably be getting the MVP this year.
Interesting. Well, Zach, you know that Chris Paul has always been one of my favorite players.
Yes.
Even before the Phoenix days. And, you know, sometimes you take a little flack for that, but, you know, hey. And I do think that Chris Paul, I believe the way this season has shaped out to this point, if Chris Paul didn't miss the time that he just missed, I think it would have been his MVP for this season. But with him missing that time, I think that what's going to happen now is it's going to come down to who wins the East. And right now it looks like it's going to come down to Giannis or Embiid because of what you said. There's not really a team with a super record right now outside of Phoenix. And
no.
I think the record's going to break this thing. So Giannis is having a really good year. My personal pick would have been, before they hit this slide, was the Joker. But they hit a big slide here of late, losing. They've lost several games here. I think it's like 6 games within the last 2 weeks here they've lost. And so that momentum is starting to slide a little bit there, even though he's playing at MVP level. But at the same time, when you have a Embiid and a Giannis playing at that similar level, I think it's going to come down to whoever wins the East right now between those 2 teams. So that's going to be the MVP winner. And if I had to pick a team right now, I think the Bucks are going to kind of end up with that record, and the MVP will go to Giannis.
And I'm just gonna kind of pivot away from you only because I'm not sure they want to give Giannis a 3rd MVP. And Mr. Brown broke this. The media shapes a lot of things as far as what's the story. And Embiid, and we talked about this earlier in the season, Embiid, even though they didn't have the best record, was getting a lot of push to be MVP by whatever, because he is, for whatever reason, they like him, be it because he's the big, funny kind of Shaq-ish guy, I guess, with the laughing and joking. But a lot of people seem to like him in the media. so they push for him. But I would, I mean, I guess any of those guys wouldn't be bad. I wouldn't mind Giannis. The only thing is I just kind of, if you give it to any three of those guys, I just say, why? I know Chris Paul has missed time, but why can't he get it? Like his team is so much better this season. Why should it should be someone? Now I wouldn't want it to be Booker or Ayton, but probably somebody from the Suns should be the MVP if you're going, because they are, what are they, about 8, 9, 10 games better than the next best team?
Yeah, they're
like
the
it's
best
not
team
even
in the
close.
league.
In
They're
fact,
the best team in the league.
I think they're at 59 wins, and if they get, once they get to 60, because every other team has at least 23 losses, they can start resting guys because they're gonna be the number 1 seed.
Yep. But we will see.
Yes,
we'll see how it all shapes out. We're also going to see what's going to happen with this individual. He's in the news of late. Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick looks like he's in the media, and we're bringing the media up again. But he's been bringing up things in the media that he's staying ready, preparing himself, and all he wants is an NFL team to give him a shot. Now his trainer, David Robinson, he talked to TMZ. So TMZ is reporting that he says that 5 teams have reached out to him about the former 49er quarterback. So Zach, what do you have to say about Colin Kaepernick? Do you think that this is true? Do you think that there are teams that have reached out about Colin?
I guess maybe. I don't want to. I can't 100% say it's not true. I feel better if he named the teams. This is kind of going back to the other day we talked about. I don't like anonymous, but I'm not going to say too much about Colin. I'm gonna let you kind of take this segment. His last 2 seasons in the NFL, he was 3-16, and his QBR was 49.2. He was, so-so. And he last played in 2016. That's a lot of years to take away from football. Like, to think that, I mean, Michael Jordan took 18 months away, and he couldn't come back and be the same guy. So to think that you're going to take that amount of time away and you're going to go back and be the same dude. Michael Vick, though under different circumstances, it didn't take that much time away. And even he didn't come back as the same type of athlete that he was before he went. So, I mean, maybe he can come in as a backup, but I don't think he wants to play football, man. I think this is to keep his name in the news, get some stuff generated. And kind of like I said about Reggie Miller earlier, people like Colin. So, when you're a liked individual, you get this type of pub. But what say you, Mr. 411? What do you think of this? And would you, like, your team is looking for a quarterback? I mean, I said, would you want him to be your quarterback? Oh, look at that. And I didn't even know that. How did that work
out? So, all right. So here's the image, right? And I'm a Seattle Seahawks fan, long-time Seahawks fan, probably longer than anybody listening to this show.
You are definitely a long one. I know, at least from high school.
Yeah. So, but no, he does not need to be on the Seattle Seahawks. Colin Kaepernick, I mean, look, he's doing what I should be doing, working out every day and trying to stay ready. But I just think that, as you stated, time away from the game, and this is the NFL, this is the highest level of the particular sport that you're trying to be in, participate in. And why, and could he possibly be on the team? Oh, there's no doubt about that. Are there teams that inquire about him? I believe they are. But I think that's where it's going to stop. I think they're just inquiring, just trying to see where his head really is, where his ability is, even if a team comes in and look at him. But again, the issue will be, why would you bring him in to just be a backup? You know what I'm saying? There's no winning with that. There's no upside for that. And so it's just better off at this point. I'll tell you this. He may not want to do this, but there's the USFL, and the rebranded XFL is coming out. I mean, that is an opportunity to get back on the field, play against but to play against professional athletes on national television. And there's an opportunity there to just, I mean, if he goes out there and just rips it apart, he shreds the league. You never know. There may be a team that has to pull from there because look, it's happened before. I think the Carolina Panthers just last year started a quarterback that played in the XFL. Yeah, the XFL. So there you have it. So if he really, really, really wants that, I mean, wants to get back in, that may have to be the route that he goes. But if he doesn't, I'll tell you enough. If he doesn't,
okay. But before I say this, is he coming to the league as a starter or as a backup?
I mean, that's up to the franchise. I'm gonna say backup. Has to be.
And I don't think he can be a backup because a backup, and I know this is gonna probably get to some people, but when you're a backup quarterback, you're like a company man. You are, you're in step with the organization. Can any organization trust that he's gonna be in step with them and not do his own thing? Man, if you're a franchise guy and you're a starter, a la Aaron Rodgers, okay, you can get away with stuff like that. But if you're the backup, like Jordan Love, you don't hear no noise out of Jordan Love. Why? Because he's the backup. So I guess we'll see. Yeah. I think this is just whatever, and I don't know. We're going to be 5 years down the road from here, and people still going to be talking about, hey, he's trying to make a comeback. This will probably be until he's like 50. But good for him. I got no problem if he gets on the roster, but I like to believe that once you sue the NFL, you probably burned your bridge.
Yeah, well, we soon find out about Colin and see if this if it has any traction. Any score update, Zach?
63-58 Arkansas with 3 minutes left.
All right. Okay. All right. Before we get into our final subject of the day, let's talk about our next sponsor, and that is PT with Grit.
PT with Grit.
All right.
Here we go. Look, we got back on the show, or we got to do another show, so I guess we safe.
Oh yeah, we definitely are. And here's another visual.
I'm going for 8. Yeah. Come on. 6. Come on. Come on. 3. 2. Go ahead, Miss B. Come on. Okay.
And we did get in trouble because I didn't hear what I heard the other day. But still, I say support him. If you're looking to get yourself in shape, he would be a great personal trainer to have help you get over the top, because it's always good to have someone that can kind of give you that extra little kick in your behind.
Great point, Zach. And yes, Keith Morgan, check him out. Support Keith. Pit with Grit. I mean, he really, as you said, Zach, he will put it to you. But I like what he, shared with me in a meeting before, and it's like, hey, this is something that was in him to do, and this was in his heart. This is something that drives him. Fitness. He'll help you with your meal plans. He'll help you, as you can see right there, one-on-one, but he tailors it based on the individual. And so that's what you have to love about that. He tailors it exactly. So it's just not a, cut a copy, a cardboard copy cut out of a program. It's going to fit you. So check out www.ptwithgrit.com.
Sounds good.
Yes, sir. All right. AFC playoff race, Zach. Man, with all the changes going on in the AFC, there's a ton of teams now. But something that sparked my interest on this, and with you being the NFL expert out of the two,
we'll use that loosely. But yes, sir.
I mean, we had to talk about this one. And I know it's way too early right now, ladies and gentlemen, but it's worth talking about. And in the AFC, there's so many teams right now, but there's only so many spots available. So when you think about it, you have the AFC East and you have the AFC South. So you're going to have two teams qualify out of this 7 right there. And then you have, we have the Browns now with Watson. You have the moves that the Raiders have made, Russell Wilson in Denver. You have Matt Ryan with the Colts. You have what else, Zach? There's something else going on. You have
you got the West.
You have the whole West with the Chargers.
Yeah.
And you have, the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
The Raiders. Yeah, there's so many going on. So it's so many teams here, but it's only so many slots. So with that said, Cincinnati. That's not, they did play in the Super Bowl.
They did.
Yeah. So with all these AFC teams, there's going to be at least 2 teams left out. And by the way, we just talked about Tyreek Hill going to the Dolphins. So with that said, Zach, who are the teams that they're going to qualify at this point?
Well, for me, you can put right now today,
yeah,
which this is definitely going to change. But right now today, based off what's happened, I'd have Buffalo 1, the Colts 2, Chiefs 3, Bengals 4, Raiders 5, Tennessee 6, and Ravens 7. And honestly, at least with all of those teams, except we'll go the Colts and Tennessee, the main reason is quarterback play that I have them there. That the quarterback play for them, I feel, is better than everybody else, minus Denver and New England. My issue with Denver and New England is just that right now I can't tell you what you're going to get from the whole team standpoint. And then, of course, with the Colts and Tennessee, I just feel like they have teams. So their quarterbacks are going to complement their teams. They don't have to shoulder the load themselves or be the tractor. They don't necessarily, they aren't going to be trailers, but they ain't got to be pulling it either. Whereas with, even though Miami has Hill, I'm not sold on Tua. I think this move was done to let the Miami Dolphins see what they have in Tua. And I like Hill, but Hill's skill set is to get down the damn field, and he's going to take coverage. But the quarterback's got to be able to get you the ball, and he's got to be able to get you the ball consistently. I'm not so sure how that will work. And they have a first-time head coach. We'll have to see how that works. And with Denver, I'm just not a believer in the Denver receiving core. Like everybody's trying to make it out to be like everybody, he's got these great. I thought DK Metcalf and I always forget Lockett. Yes, always forget but they are some very good receivers, and their running back the running backs they had weren't bad. And of course, their head coach was pretty good too, whereas Denver has a first-time head coach also. And I'll pull the Chiefs back some because TYREEK did help you dictate coverage. As I said, you got a lot of cover two with him. You didn't get that single high. They may get more single high and extra guy in the box or extra blitzer now that you didn't get before because people won't be as worried about you getting behind them. And Buffalo is pretty much the same team right now. So I'll go with that as of right now today, but I wouldn't go put any money on it yet because I want to see what the rest of the moves are. And I guess I left out the Browns. Deshaun Watson, he hasn't played football in a long time, and he may get suspended. I kind of let me see how that comes together first.
Okay.
Though I do like Brissett as a backup quarterback.
Yep, and that's exactly where I'm gonna pick up at, Zach. We have a lot of teams that are similar as far as like Buffalo, the Colts, the Chiefs, the Bengals. Okay, I like what Cincinnati has done. But before these moves of late, as far as like trying to upgrade their offensive line, because to me that was really the issue with them. I like that they're trying to upgrade that position. I think they'll make it back into the playoffs as a division winner this time. Now the Browns, because of the name you mentioned, Brissett, I think that they have a quarterback. If the defense is as stout as it's supposed to be and their running game is as strong as it's supposed to be, I think with Brissett, I think that they can still be a playoff team with or without Watson. Watson would be, the cherry on top, if you will, or the whipped cream on top of your strawberry shortcake, or whatever you put on top of your dessert. And then I did go with the Dolphins, and of course it's way too early, and that's probably why I did it. And I just think that last year they were close last year, and I think that maybe they can just get a couple more wins in and they'll make it. But of course, this is way too early.
Yes.
We both agree that Denver. We neither one of us have Denver on this list. Part of the reason why I have. But see, I don't.
Well, yeah, but see, even with that right there, if Russell Wilson is the guy that he believes he is and what he showed he was in Seattle a little bit, then Denver makes the playoffs. Like some of this is going to come down to just Tua could play well. Like Tyreek Hill could be the missing piece for Tua, and they get in. And not only the Browns making the 6th spot, but depending on how much Deshaun Watson plays, they could be a 2 or 3 seed possibly.
Yeah.
And I'll go a team that neither one of us had, and at least it doesn't look like. I don't see the Chargers.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And for me, the Herbert's got to show it. He got to show and prove to me because all I hear about is how great he is. Oh, he's a blah, blah, blah. Yet I ain't seen no playoffs yet. Joe Burrow comes in and he made that thing happen. Yeah. And the Chiefs, the Chiefs are just an example. And we might, I probably hit this earlier. You cannot count your chickens before they hatch because Tyreek Hill was the one saying, hey, we're going to win 6-7 Super Bowls. And now he's not with them anymore.
Yeah.
But way early, it should be fun. Whereas the AFC is going to be really, really stacked. The NFC looks like it could be wide open.
Yeah. And then guess what? I think you had the Ravens in, I had them out. And neither one of us picked the Steelers, and we don't know how that situation is going to pan out. And it's 66-62 right now. And Gonzaga with the ball, they miss a layup. They're playing the foul game. It looks like the number 1 overall seed is going home.
That was a bad miss on the layup too.
Yeah, it was an easy layup after he hit them. But yes, so that's your update there. So, wow, the Razorbacks who didn't look good.
Woo!
Now they're going to the Elite 8. And that's something.
I know. Good job for is it Musselman? Who's their coach?
Eric Musselman, and he coached.
Oh, Musselman, yes. He's was he the Nuggets coach?
He coached. Wow, he coached at
or was it
Sacramento.
or was it Kings?
He was at the Kings the last I checked.
Okay.
But he's been around the game a lot. So I wouldn't be surprised if Denver was one of his stops as well. But I think his most recent stop was Sacramento.
We need to check his salary because he shouldn't be getting the Arkansas team further than Calipari is getting a Kentucky team. And that's my Calipari thing for today.
Yes, sir. Your Calipariism. All right, Zach. Shout outs. I heard you had a special shout out today. What is it?
No special shout outs. None whatsoever. What I will do is I'm gonna give my condolences to my stepsister, stepbrother. They lost their mother the other day. Mm-hmm. Miss Darlene was a good woman. Sorry to hear that. And there'll be updates coming out for the people that need to know. Mm-hmm. And prayers are with them.
Absolutely, Zach. And that's where we'll leave it right there in this time right now. And it's a tough time right now for the family.
Yes.
If you will. Zach. Okay. Without revealing everything. But man, we're going to leave that right there. And just tell everybody, look, cherish each day, appreciate each day that you're on this earth, because you don't know when it's your last day, and do something to help each other. Henry Brown brought a lot of knowledge to the table, but
he did.
A lot of things I picked up from him is to appreciate your history, appreciate the past, so you can know how to move forward, but also help others move forward. So do something nice for somebody tomorrow.
I would agree.
All right. All right, Zach. So we're out of here, man. Anything else before we go?
I just want to give a special thanks to Mr. Brown once again. He it's really good to hear that because it adds some perspective to the things that we talk about. And outside of the basketball part, as he was saying, some of the life lessons he's talked about, because things do go very quickly. Like no one will believe this, but it seems just like yesterday we were in physical science class and biology together and French class. Like the time goes 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th, 12th.
Wow.
That doesn't seem like it's been 30 plus years, but it has been. And that time has flown as we've seen each other go from no pun intended, but boys to men. So
and it's not the end of the road, Zach.
No, it is not. But everybody appreciate what you have, and just give a special thanks to God. Amen. Or whoever it is you give your thanks to.
Exactly. And we thank you all for watching and listening. We are the Sports Brothers.
Yes, we are.
For Zach, I am Mr. 411. We thank you all for watching and listening and tuning in. And we bid you all a good night, and we'll see you down the road.
Good night, everyone.